Well, welcome back. We were just educated by Mr. Victor Biggs on how to practical ways to stay connected with your customers. And now I'd like to introduce you to Mr. or what we call Professor Ken.
Hey,
Professor Ken is an award-winning digital marketeer and e-commerce expert, speaker, trainer, author, professor, and founder of eknlinks.com. Everyone calls him Professor Ken.
yes.
Welcome, sir.
Hey, Johnny. Hey, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for allowing me to spend some time with everyone.
All right, so, but Mr. Professor Ken, you can go right ahead.
Oh, okay, perfect. I'm on. That's quick. You guys are perfect.
Absolutely. I wanted to make sure I give you enough time that you can go ahead with your presentation, sir.
All right, wonderful. So I'm guessing you guys see the screen right now. What you see is a big QR code. So for some of us, if you like, just go ahead and you could grab your cell phone if you want and sort of focus in on that QR code. And that will actually open up my information. And that first link there is my contact info. So if you want to go ahead and save that into your contacts, you'll have all my info right there. My websites are there, my email, my personal phone number. So that's a quick and easy way to go ahead and do that if you want to get a hold of me. And if that is not what you want to do, then that's okay. Here's my info here. My website's pretty simple. It's profken, profken.us. And my company, as Johnny mentioned, is eknlinks.com. And I also have a special website just for Miramar. It's miramarwebsites.com. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Okay, so I will have this presentation. I know the association and Miramar is going to probably make this presentation and recording available to you. But if you go to my website and you /get-free-ebooks, you give me your email so I know who you are. I'll have this presentation and my other resources that are there for free for you to download and take a look at. And all that is about digital marketing, marketing in general, bringing a new product out. There's a whole bunch of different things on there. I'm always uploading things on a weekly basis. So check that out. If you want this presentation and if you want other free resources, go there. I want to thank Miramar and Bizfit for allowing me to be here. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the time. And I just want everyone to know that I've been in Miramar for 21 years. I mean, this is what I call home. And I work with all the businesses throughout the community, obviously worldwide. I'm an international type of a guy, but I do have some experience here. I've actually taught, and yes, I am a real professor. I taught here at DeVry in Miramar, at University of Phoenix here in Miramar. I also teach at Una Latina or United International College here at Miramar. And I partner now, I'm teaching at Miami-Dade in partnership with Facebook, the digital marketing course. And that's to say that, listen, I know a little bit about everything, but I came here from a journey that started way back when. I've always been in sales and marketing, and I've been fortunate along the years to win some awards and get certified in not only e-commerce, but Google and analytics and all that stuff you really need. And what I'm about to tell you is that we're going to optimize our website, okay? It's not scary, it's actually fun, and you have to do that. And if in order to be, to get in front of your customer, you have to have an optimized website. Where is the first place someone looks for you online? Well, it's your website. So today we're gonna talk about all of that. In addition to doing websites and having online classes and all that fun stuff, I do social media. And in 2020, I was recognized as a Southeast Florida, the best social media company in Southeast Florida. So a little credentials there to give you. But what I really want to talk about today are four things. One, I want to share with you Professor Ken's 4 questions that'll set the stage for optimizing your website, both online and mobile. 2, I want to talk about website health. Okay, it all starts with your website. And if your website is not healthy, and we'll talk about what that means, then the chance of you growing your business are not very strong. 3, I want to talk about SEO. That means search engine optimization. Some of us may have heard of that word before or that term, but may not know exactly what it is. And 4, I want to talk about Google My Business, which is a free tool that you need to be taken advantage of if you're in any type of business at all, okay? And then I'll leave a few minutes at the end for some Q&A, and hopefully you guys have my contact info. You're always welcome to call me, email me. I'm local, I'm in the community. I would love to hear from you and love to hear about your successes. And maybe if you take something away today and implement it over the next week or so, I would love to hear how successful that was for you. Okay, let's get into some of this detail. So what are Professor Ken's 4 questions? Well, I named them that. They're really not my 4 questions. We probably recognize this from when we were in elementary school, right? We did a elementary book report, and they always say who, why, what, and how, right? We have to answer some of those questions. Well, I want you to think about this when you're thinking about your website. Who will come to your website? That's really important. You need to make sure your website is targeting the people that are going to come to you. If you sell cupcakes, your website should prominently display and talk about cupcakes, not everything else, right? So keep that in mind. Who will come to your website? Why? Why would they come to your website? I want to know why I'm going to your website. I want to know why I'm there. Do you know in about 6 seconds, I'm at your website and I'm gone. They call that bouncing, right? I'm bounced from your website in less than 6 seconds if I don't understand why I'm there. And remember, it all starts with a consumer who needs something, who has a problem to solve. So you have to provide a need and solve that problem. That's the what. What am I there for? Make sure that if you sell cupcakes, cupcakes are prominently displayed and you see all the variations of cupcakes that I can get, how I can get them, how much they are, the reviews. I want to know more about you when I hit that website, whatever page that is. And then how? How do I get connected to my customer? How does my customer get connected with me? Make it easy for them, right? Make it easy for them. If you want them to click somewhere, tell them, click here. Highlight the link, do all those things to make it obvious. Don't make it complicated. You've got less than 7 seconds to get me in and out of that website and get me to take some action. If you don't take advantage of that, guess where I'm going? To somebody else. And that's what you don't want. You don't want someone coming to your website and leaving you. So if we don't think about anything, if you forget everything I talk about in the next 30 or 40 minutes, just remember this: who, why, what, and how. If you could just remember that and optimize your website along those terms, you're going to be so much further ahead than where you were yesterday. Okay, let's talk about some other things here. What about website usability? Well, it has to be usable. You have to have your website easy to read, clear content. The structure of the website has to make sense. I've built a few websites over the years, and I worked with some clients, and they show me their websites, and they have all these fancy things, these flashing things, all these beautiful things. It looks really good to them, but to a consumer, it may not look that good. You don't need all that flashy stuff. Get to the point, structure it with clear content, make it easy for a customer, someone who's coming there, to get in and out. Look, let's think about it in these terms. The website is our store. It is our business. If you walked into a brick and mortar store, a shop, and the shop was cluttered with all kinds of different things. They had pants over here. Let's say it's a clothing shop, shoes over here, this over there. And you're looking at that, you're out. You're not really looking to buy something because it's not structured properly. So make sure your website is structured and easy to use. What do you want to see in your website? That's really important. Okay, now here's an important piece that's really something you have to think about. As a consumer, when you go to a website, what do you expect? You expect a website to be professional. You expect it to look good. You want to build this trust. It's all about trust. This is what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about building a relationship. okay? Eventually, you want your customer to fall in love with you. If your customer falls in love with you, well, then they're not going to go somewhere else. So you have to build this trust. That means the website has to look professional. That means you have to have a phone number that I can call when I have a question. That means you have to be able to navigate it easily. Don't have all these magical buttons going all over the place. Very simple formatting, very simple navigation. Make sure that, of course, your website is, guess what? Mobile friendly. Everybody is online. If your website looks good on a desktop, congratulations, that's great. But guess how many people look at your mobile website? A lot more than you believe. In some cases, if you look at the analytics, more people look at your mobile site than they do the desktop site. So if your website is not optimized to mobile, you're losing that opportunity as well. You want to make sure that you have images that are pleasing and welcoming. Again, think about you walking into a store. If you saw a pleasing, welcoming display, you're walking in a little further into the store. You're getting comfortable. You're trusting what you're seeing. Well, that's the idea here. Make sure that it makes sense. In some cases, you could put a video tour, right? An online video tour to help build trust. So all of these tools that we use help build this trust. And that's really important in your website. Remember, that website is the first section, the first impression that customer sees of your business. That's why it's really important. And by the way, I've dealt with websites for, my first one was in 2000, believe it or not. And I dealt with websites for all these years. If you have a website that's not optimized and not fresh and new, and I say fresh and new, I mean less than 3 years old, it's time to rebuild. You do not want a website from 2010, from 2015, not even 2018, because technology has changed so much that if your website is more than 3 years old and not optimized, you are losing business. I'll do the analytics and I can prove that to you. I don't have to because I know that, but that's the real case. It's like, again, if you have a brick and mortar store, if you don't keep it clean and fresh, people are not going to come there and you're not going to get the business. So I want you to think about that. Keep that in mind. One thing that's happening now that's really important, and this is why I say you have to have an up-to-date website. There are accessibility standards that are now getting more front and center, okay? So what are accessibility standards? Well, people with disabilities have the right to have access to a website too. Now you might be thinking, well, that's really difficult to understand. Well, we should understand it because it's happening right now as we speak. There are actually accessibility standards that you have to follow. In fact, if you go to this website link up here, you can put your domain in and it'll tell you whether or not your website is accessible under ADA standards. That's really important. Why is that important? Because there are lawsuits happening now on a regular basis on small businesses that are ending up costing small businesses $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. They spend only $5,000 on a website, and because they're not ADA compliant, they get sued by whoever sues them. And we know, generally speaking, it's lawyers and all that fun stuff, but they'll get sued for $50,000, $60,000, $100,000. And that's a small mom and pop shop. It bankrupts them. So keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff here, but I'm going to pitch you 4 things. So you're going to have a little sales pitch here as well. I do that. I help websites get ADA compliant. If it's not me, you can find it. Just go online and Google ADA compliance for my website. And I started about $199, and that helps get you into compliance. If you look at my sites, ADA compliance means you have that little icon, that little handicap icon that when someone clicks on it, if they're deaf, the text will read, that will speak to them. If they're colorblind, the colors will change, the images will actually talk to them. This is really important. Now, it's not just to be ADA accessible. Believe it or not, Google has preference on ADA compatible sites over everybody else. So if you're a local business, let's say you are that cupcake shop here in Miramar, and you don't have an ADA compliant, and all your competition is not ADA compliant, but you spend whatever it is, $200, $1,000 to get ADA compliant. When someone punches in cupcakes in Miramar, guess what? Google's going to say, well, wait a second, here's a a cupcake shop that meets those needs and is ADA compliant, you get bumped to the top of the list. So it does help with search as well. So keep that in mind. That's one thing to think about when we're optimizing the website. All right, now, another thing I want you to do is go to this website, SEO Site Checkup, and I want you to use this as a tool to put your website in. Why? Remember I talked about website health. What do you do to understand your health? If you want to know how healthy you are, well, you could look in the mirror, and obviously over COVID, we all gained a few pounds here or there. But if you go to the doctor will tell you if you're healthy or not, right? They'll do a series of tests and they'll say, well, you got high blood pressure, you got this, you got that, and all this stuff. Well, we have tools online that are free that actually give us the health of the website too. And this is one of them. So you see, I put my website in here. Of course, I'm a professional. I've been doing it and I don't score 100, but I score pretty high. That's what you want. But even with me managing my website on a regular basis, you can see I have some updates to do. And that's the thing about websites. It's not just set it and forget it. It's put it up there and then you have to update it. You have to give it some love. It's a living, breathing opportunity. Think of a website as your silent salesperson, okay? It's working for you 24/7. If you had an employee working for you 24/7, you want to take care of it, don't you? So that's the idea here. You really want to make sure your website is healthy. So this is a simple check, and I'm going to go through a couple of these things here. So use this link, put your website in there. You'll get a free report. I'm not connected to them in any way. There's several different opportunities out there. If you just Google website checkup or website health, a bunch of different ideas, a bunch of different domains will come up. My suggestion is to check out your site. This is where you want to start. You want to start by saying, okay, Professor Ken talked about website health. Let me see how good my website really is, if it's healthy or not, because maybe it is. If so, then you're ahead of the game. If not, you have some work to do. So when you get the report, it'll give you a very clear description on things like your what we header tags. And I'm going to go through some of this, meta descriptions, alt image names and all that. And it'll give you greens or reds. It'll tell you if it's good or not. Now, some of this might be a little outside of your scope of understanding. That's where you hire a coder or a professional to help you with your website. But some of us actually have hands-on with a website, so we may understand this. So it's not that frightening. It's not that expensive to get this stuff fixed, to get this stuff updated. You just want to make sure that you're doing this on a regular basis. Okay. Now, you can see some of the key things that the website will check. It'll check your tags. You'll check your header tags. It'll check all the descriptions, your keywords, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. So here's 6 things I want you to do to really optimize, the 6 elements you need to optimize for your website. Number 1 is title tag, and I'll explain this all in just a minute. Number 2 is what we call a meta description. We all know what this is. We see it every day, but these are the actual definitions of it. Number 3 would be the headers. Number 4 would be the URL. That's your domain name. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then, of course, you have your copy, and then we have your image alt tags. Okay, this is the things that you need to optimize in order for people to come and find you. Now, here's something I like to say about that. Google is going to find you. There's no question about that. The question is, where do they find you, right? Everybody wants to be on page 1. It's not really that easy to get on page 1. It's very difficult. There's only a couple ways you could do that. One is to make sure you have an optimized website. That gives you a better chance than not. 2, you have to spend a little money. You have to take out some ads to be there in that sponsored section, the ad section. So it's really difficult to get there. So what I'm showing you here will help you advance in your Google searches, and it'll give you a good foundation to start, okay? So let's talk about what this is. What is a title tag? A title tag, as you can see, is the title that you have up in your website. Generally speaking, it's going to describe what that page, what that website is all about. You really have limited characters, only 70 characters. And what I want you to do here is make sure that if someone, let's go back to the cupcake shop again. Let's say you sell chocolate cupcakes, strawberry cupcakes, and vanilla cupcakes. Okay. For strawberry cupcakes, if you have it your own web page, it should be Professor Ken's Cupcake Shop / strawberry cupcakes. That tells everybody in Google as well what that page is all about. So you have to make sure you have that page correct. A lot of websites, especially local small business websites, don't take the time to do that. And you might see /12345 or some crazy characters. That's not telling Google anything. So make sure your web page has that title tag. Also, when you do that, make sure you use a keyword in that title tag. So that keyword is a word that's going to drive people to your business. So again, if I'm a cupcake shop, I want to make sure I'm talking about cupcakes. And if I'm selling strawberry cupcakes, I want to make sure I use the keyword strawberry cupcakes. Use a brand name if you have to. Make sure you're really giving a clear description of what that web page is. Don't go too long. Don't use special characters like strawberry cupcake, !, !, star, whatever, happy face, whatever you want to do. Don't do that. Keep it plain and simple so Google can read it and I can read it when I go to your website. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is that meta description. And by the way, I'm using information from my own websites here, just to give you an idea that I do practice what I preach. So in a meta description, we know what this is. This is that little copy at the bottom of that search that tells you exactly what the page is all about, right? So that's important because that's sort of like your intro into that page. Again, it's the text below that, that important page title. Keep it to 170, 175 characters. Now, why is that important? Because you want it to say everything you want it to say and not cut off in the middle, all right? So you have to choose your words carefully. One other thing you need to do here is make sure you have a call to action. If you can see mine, I don't know if you can or not, but if you see mine, I say get free resources at my website. So I'm saying I'm offering a call to action. Maybe if you're a cupcake shop, you could say buy a strawberry cupcake today, that type of thing, or click here to get the cupcake delivered to you in 24 hours, something along those lines. So the meta description will help Google say, hey, this page is all about something. Let me show people what it's all about. Let me just stop there for a minute and give you a context of what Google is looking at. So I want a cupcake, right? And I go into the Google machine and I say, cupcake. No, I don't do that. What I do is I want a strawberry cupcake, and I live in Miramar. It's really raining outside pretty bad right now. I don't want to drive too far. I want to be close to me, and I want to get it now for dinner, for dessert. So I want a cupcake, a strawberry cupcake in Miramar near me or something like that. That's what I'm Googling. So Google is looking at this and saying, okay, here's the solution to that person's problem. You have to make sure you're providing content and keywords that answer that query. People are not just putting in cupcakes. They're putting in strawberry cupcakes near me. They're putting in strawberry cupcakes in Miramar. That's where you have to improve your information. Okay, so now what are the heading titles? Those are the titles that speak about the page. So if we think about what that is, we call them H1s and H2. And H1 is the most important title on the page. That's got to be the priority title. Google will say, hey, this page is about something. Let me take you to that page. You see my website. This happens to be my speaking and team building page. Okay, Google knows exactly what that is. So if somebody looks up speaking and team building, Google will say, oh, here's a page, Professor Ken's page. Maybe this will work for you as a solution. So we want to make sure, again, we're using these header tags. Now, there are H1, H2, H3, it goes all the way down to H5. If you use different size header tags, you have to make sure you're doing it in order. H1 on top, 2, 3, 4, 5, because Google is reading that way, okay? You want to make sure you're satisfying what Google is looking at. Again, use your keyword because keywords are going to tell Google that this is all about what someone is looking for. The whole journey here, the whole journey of looking for your website starts with a customer having a need to fill, a customer having a problem to solve. So if they're looking for something, you have to raise your hand and say, hey, I have the answer to your problem. I have the solution. I have what you need in Professor Ken's cupcake shop. The only way to do that online is through content, is through website optimization. And this is how we meet. Imagine the consumer being here, looking for things. You're here providing things. In the middle is the Google bridge. You want to make sure that you can connect to your consumer. And these are some of the tools that you need to do that. Okay, let's talk about another way to optimize your website, the URL structure. Okay, that's a technical term, but we know what that is. It's that domain sitting up on top. So make it speaking. What I mean by that is tell people what that URL does without even knowing what it does. So if you sell strawberry cupcakes, it should be / strawberry cupcakes or strawberry cupcakes for sale or whatever it is you want to define. Avoid complication here. Clean, simple, easy, no special characters. Make sure that this is important because Google is looking for this and that's going to help you populate. So this page, my page, is all about Professor Ken. So if you land on this page, you're going to learn all about Professor Ken. It's that simple. That's what you need to do. Now, if you don't manage your own website, get someone to help you set this up because this is important. It'll cost you labor hours, but once you do it, you are now laying the foundation for growth in your Google search terms. Okay, so now images. We all use images, but did you know that Google also searches images on your website? So every image you have on your website, if you have pictures of cupcakes on your website, you have to name that image. And it's really a special thing called an alt tag. So you may not be familiar on how to do that, but basically, once the image has a name, like you can see here, my image, my avatar has a name, Google says, oh, here's something else under Professor Ken. Let me pull that up too. Because if you go into Google, you can search website, images, videos, news, all kinds of different things. And Google's picking this up as well. So make sure you're checking out your alt images. Okay, now here's my second pitch to you. I build websites. I have a Miramar special. I've had it since the beginning of COVID. And you don't have to be just a Miramar. This is for the community. I want to help the community out. My team will build a website for you for under $1,000. If you're interested, go to miramarwebsites.com. If you need a new website, we can get it done. Ordering online, booking online, whatever you need. If you go to that link, you'll see more details about it, okay? That's my sales pitch. I'll keep going now. All right. So let's talk about how Google looks for you. Google is looking for what we call context and intent. Remember, we're not looking for just a cupcake. We're looking for a strawberry cupcake in Miramar, okay, that I can get in 24 hours. So Google is going to take that and say, okay, I think I have a place here based on your keywords, based upon what you're putting out there. That's really important. So make sure that you have that. The results have to answer the questions of the searcher. Don't do what you think is good. Do what you think the searcher will be looking for, because that's really important. Create content that delivers targeted information. That's what we talked about now in the first part of this presentation. So you have to make sure that your content, your keywords, all align to the same thing that you're doing. That's really important. Let me explain keywords briefly to you. Now, I do a whole 1 hour, 1.5 hour session on keywords and even longer. But briefly, to let you know what it does for you, there are what we call long tail keywords and short tail keywords. So this graph gives you an example of what a short tail keyword is. A short tail keyword rather would be something like website building, okay? Now, website building, if you punch that in, you see that 74,000 searches happen a month, and the cost per click, that's what CPC stands for. It'll cost you about $33 per click to get that in an ad. Now, as you extend that and make that phrase longer, that's the long tail, that's this section down here, you use best website builder. Notice it's less searches and less money. because less people are looking for it. So it's less competition to get that. And if you go all the way out to the long tail and you go, I want a website built for me or a website for my business, you can see there's only 260 searches for that and less cost per click. So you have to use a combination of what we call long tail searches and short tail searches. Make sure that you're plugging these in to your website, into your content, okay? So getting back to that cupcake example, here would be cupcakes, here would be strawberry cupcakes, and here would be strawberry cupcakes sold in Miramar, just to give you an idea of how you would play that out. Make sure that that's how you're planning out your keywords, and that's gonna help Google say, okay, this cupcake shop really has all the things that this person is looking for, so let me help populate that to the top. Now, one way to get keywords is just use Google for free. Just go ahead and enter any word in there, and you know these little things that come up? Well, you know why that comes up? That's because people are looking for that. So Google is telling you, hey, people are looking for all these things. These are the things you should include in your keywords in your website to help get recognized when people start looking for stuff. So I would go in there, put in a very broad word into Google and see what populates. Once you see what populates, you can go ahead and manage that. So you put these keywords on your web pages, in your social media, on anything you do in terms of content, and you let Google see what's happening, and they're able to pull that up to the top. Another section you can look for are that great section down there, people also ask. So people are asking for something. So anything it says in that people also ask section, that's what I want you to take, okay? That's what I want you to take. So make sure that you're looking at that. And then at the very bottom, at Google search, there's all these related searches. All of this should be also as part of your keywords in your website. This is not so complicated to do. And guess what? It's free if you have hands-on development of your website. But this is how you can bump up to the top every time someone is looking for your product or your service, okay? Generally speaking, SEO, we went through a couple of things here. Again, it's a long, complicated scenario, but in order to be good, in order for you to get SEO to the top, make sure you use keywords in your titles like we talked about. Make sure you have your branding on every page. Make sure your site is fast, meaning it loads pretty good. Make sure you're practicing these SEO tips. Make sure you're using social media and using social icons. You have to make sure your website is trustworthy and has relevance. You have to make sure your messaging and your branding is consistent. You have to target to that who, and you have to have links. So links are two ways. There are inbound links and outbound links. So if you're a local Miramar business and you want to link to me, I'll be happy to link to you. The more links, the better. But now keep in mind that Google wants to see links of important websites, not just anybody. So if you have 10 links coming into your website, like if you, like me, I'm here presenting for the city of Miramar, they might link my website to them, okay? That's a website of authority. Google likes that. But if you have only 5 of them and 100 of all the other websites, Google might say, well, this is a little more important because there's more authority with that linking there. So these are the things you have to have for your SEO. And it's not complicated. If you if you can't manage your website, I would suggest you get someone to help you with that, because this is important. And by the way, outside of the cost of changing some wording in your website and your tags, this is all free to do. There's no expense here. And if you need help, of course, this is what I do. Not only do I do SEO, but also have social media plans. And if you go to one of my web pages, one of my websites, 149 social media, yes, I do social media for 149 a month. I can help you get the word out there. That's one of the things that I do. And I had, I got that award last year. So I do have some tips and tricks that I can share with you. And you can go on the website to see some of those things that I can help you with. Okay. So here's something really important. Google has this thing called Google My Business. Okay, Google is phenomenal. It's a great website, a great company, in fact. They help small businesses. In fact, they really helped small businesses through COVID. And they have this digital essentials guide. Here's a link here. If you go to that guide, you can have some resources that are all free. Don't we love that word free? I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. It's all free. So go to this link and you're able to get some of these essential guides and some of these tools that you could use for your business. Now, I know you're saying, you're probably thinking, Professor Ken, this is all great stuff, but I don't have time to do any of this. I get it, right? I get it. But I could tell you right now, working with all kinds of different small businesses over the course of many years, a lot of people work in their business, but they don't work on their business. And you have to think of it like this. If you go back to that store, that brick and mortar store, what do you do to get your shop ready? Well, you have to open up the security gate, right? You have to turn the key, open up the security gate. You have to open the front door, stop the alarm. You may have to sweep the floors or mop the floors or pre-cook or whatever it is that you do. You have to get your store ready every single day for that day's business, right? The website is the same exact thing. You have to get your business ready every day. Don't think of it as another thing I have to do. This is a business necessity. Think of it as turning the lights on, opening your security gate, turning off your alarm, mopping the floors, whatever it is you do, putting out the garbage, whatever it is you do for your business every day, you have to think of it like this as well. This is really important. We all know getting through COVID, if you didn't have an online business, it was really hard, right? It was the only way to connect to your customers. So this is very important. And by the way, it's only getting more important. It's really getting more important. So check out this link. And what I want you to do when you look at this link, take a look at Google My Business. There's actually a free profile that you can set up. And I'm surprised to see that a lot of companies don't have this set up right now. It's free to set up. It'll take you 15 minutes to go through it. All you need to do is claim your free profile, click on that, put your business in, and give Google some information. And now, you know that little thing that you have when people look up your business? Well, that's what Google My Business does. It's really simple. You have to have a Gmail account. So I suggest that you have a Gmail account. I have marketing, Professor Ken's marketing at Gmail as an example. You can do something like that, set that up. But basically, you want to set up your account and start building your business profile. You just put in here, I'm using an example, Miramar websites, what I do, how I do it, and then you can give a description. Now, I do have an online course. I just launched it. In fact, it launched only last week. It's really an online platform for e-classes, and everything I teach, I put online. And the rates go from $9.99 to $49 to actually live sessions with me. So it's a local thing I'm doing. If you want a complete setup online, go to this link here, and it's 50. Use the code 50 off Miramar, and you get it for $4.50. The regular price is only $9.99. It's discounted from $29. But that'll walk you through the steps, step by step, on how to set up a Google My Business account, okay? Well, that's really the presentation. I wanted to save some time here for some Q&As. I went through a lot. I know there's a lot of information out there. I didn't expect you all to take it all away in 45 minutes, but remember who's going to your website? What are they looking for? Why are they here? And how can I get it to them? If you just start with that, you're better than where you were yesterday. Okay, so are there any questions, anything I can help you with? You have a problem we want to solve online, please let me know.
Thank you, Professor Ken. There is one question. One question I do have here for you is, if I'm going to market my business on Google, and you're talking about the search engine, how I can make myself more accessible to my customers.
Right.
What are some of the best strategies that you can give me?
So you want to market it on Google, and you want a strategy that's going to get you to answer that search, right? So everything we talked about, let me unpack that for a second. It's not one thing. Let's just start there. It's not one thing. I'm not selling you magic potion sauce. So it's not one thing. That's the key here. So everything I shared with you help. Every little piece helps. So if you think that I can just go in and work Google a little bit here and get ranked up higher, Google's a little smarter than all of us put together. It's not going to work like that. You have to have everything operating at the same time. So you have to have your URLs, you have to have your header tags, your meta descriptions, your social media, all that's important. Let me rephrase that. So think of your website like a house or a business, okay? Mm-hmm. You have a business and it's in somewhere in Miramar that's not so built out or anything like that, right? Like Miramar may have been like 40 years ago, let's say. I've been here 21 years and we've added a lot in 21 years. But let's say it's there and you got one road coming in to your business. That's your website. Okay, that's great. Only a limited amount of people will come in and out of that one road. Now, if you add backlinks and external links out, now you have another road that people come in and out of your website. You do Google My Business, you have another road that people come in and out of your website. You do social media, now you have more roads that people come in and out of your website. You do some blogging, you share some stories, you do videos on YouTube. Now you've got more streets for them to come in and out of your website. Your goal is to make it easy for people to get to your business. Don't cut them off. Don't give them one avenue to get in. You want them to have many avenues to come in. And that's what this is all about. So in order to have, to get optimized, in order for Google to say, hey, this website's important, you have to do a lot of these different things. And that's the key. It's not just one thing. One other thing I like to point out here, this is a work in progress. Anybody want to take a guess on how many blogs there are out there in the world right now, as an example? Blogs. How many blogs do you think there are?
I wouldn't know.
Over a billion.
Over a billion. Wow.
How many people do we have on planet Earth? What, 7 billion plus or minus? So that means there's one blog for every 7 individuals out there. Websites are just as predominant. Everyone's putting up websites now. So if someone takes my class, I'm teaching them how to be better than you. So you have competition every single day, every single minute, not just in Miramar, by the way, throughout the world. So it's not just a set it and forget it mentality. This is something you have to come back. Even with keywords, you have to make sure your keywords are ranking. You have to make sure your site is always optimized. It's a regular process. Again, think of it like a regular business, a regular storefront. You're not just going to, you're not going to let the floor stay dirty. You're going to sweep the floor. You're not going to undo the panels or the alarms. You have to reset it. A website's the same thing. You have to give it the same love and care that you would anything else, because we're building relationships. And relationships take time and take some investment and take some love and care. And now you can build a relationship with your customer, because if you can keep a customer for 3, 4, 5 years, now you have a real business, right? Why do you think Amazon is the largest company on planet Earth? Because everybody's a Prime member and nobody's ever leaving them. And that's why they're so big. That's the mentality we have to have.
Wow, great. Thank you so much. One last question is, how often is acceptable to refresh your website?
Every 6 months. Every 6 months. So, but yeah, let me just unpack that for a minute. You have to be careful what you do, right? I'm not saying go from a red website to a blue website in 6 months. Make some changes that are progressive. Make some changes that make sense. One suggestion, we haven't talked about this, we do have analytics. There's a combination. So this is all about art and science, right? The art is the creative stuff. The science is the analytics. Google Analytics will tell you what pages are doing good and what pages are not doing good. If you're going to improve your website, improve the pages that people are going to and bouncing quickly, that don't have strong retention rates, and improve the pages that have no traffic. Work your way on stuff that's not working, and then work your way up to the stuff that is working.
Well, thank you so much, Professor Ken. It's always a pleasure having you on, visiting with the city of Miramar. You are so full of information for all those who want to build a successful website and to connect with their customers base. So thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. I'm going to have to do my podcast again so we can continue this conversation.
Absolutely. I got plenty more to share. There's all kinds of different things we can talk about. So I'm excited, and it's great to be here. And good luck, everybody. Remember, it's a process, right? It's a process. Take something away and get better every day. That's the idea.
And also for our participants, there are booths out there with businesses who have booths available for you to come in and see the products and services that they offer and to get connected with them. Networking is another way to build your network and to build your customer base as well. So we have that available for you today. Well, thank you. And you enjoy the rest of the expo today, all right?
Absolutely. Thank you.